We on!
Hey, yo, what's up? It's your boy DJ Noble. Welcome to another episode of Off the Grid. I got a couple guests with me right now. My guy to my right is Eddie Puyo.
Yo,
That's
yo,
that's pronounced it right?
Puyo, you got it.
Puyo,
Oh, bang,
Puyo.
bang, baby. Hey, look, now, mama, we made it. I'm on off the grid, baby. Holla.
Down below me, I got my guy Marlon Seahorn. Say what's up, man.
God bless. God bless. Good to be on with my new friend Eddie and old friend DJ Nobel.
And I appreciate y'all for being on the show.
Absolutely.
Just a couple of background things real quick. Both of y'all go way back. You know what I'm saying? Marlon goes way back to the high school days. A little bit older than me, but he might look younger than me. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So we go back quite a ways, man. And so it's good to have him on the show because I think he could share a great perspective. And then Eddie, we go back too, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes,
We
sir.
go back.
Started in the game in 03, baby. We here still, though.
03,
Yeah.
when people knew you as Raw Servant back then.
It's me.
So if you are a Christian hip hop head, you know who Raw Servant is. You obviously know who Eddie is now because you've been Eddie for how? I mean, you've been Eddie your whole life, but you've been
Whole
Eddie
life.
Eddie in the game since when?
In the game, I flipped the script. I want to say 2019 is, well, even before then, but 2019 is when I really changed over. And I said, hey, y'all just introduce me as Eddie, man. You know, Raw Servant was cool, but this dude is even better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt, man. Again, glad that you guys are on. So hey, look, I just wanted to just talk about the topic at hand, right? And I'll start with, man, either one of you guys could take the baton on this. I'm just gonna throw the baton in the air and you guys catch it and run. All right, so why Donald Trump?
Why not? You
I
know,
like that.
why not? You know, a lot of times people have a hard time, you know, accepting who's in office. Well, I wasn't a big fan of Biden at all. Wasn't a big fan of Kamala Harris at all. I mean, I can go on through all out of this of people I wasn't a fan of, but they were in office. Did I disagree with the policies, the things that they put together? Yes. Was there a lot of things that I would have done different? Yeah, but I'm not the president. Still, it is what it is. You're seated there. So now we got Trump. So what do you got to lose to listen to what he's got to say? Is the policies good or the policies bad? I'm rooting for him, you know, because I look at everything he puts together is from a business mindset. And the country should be ran as a business instead of the Michael Jackson theme song, We Are the World. Just doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? But that's my piece. That's my bit. I'll dive in more to it. But Marlon, what you got?
I think that's one of the best answers that I've heard is the why not, because I think it actually forces you to, for lack of a better word, defend your position. For me, I wouldn't consider myself a Trumper, but what I consider myself is a person of values and principles. And I think as far as the office of president, you know, I've never been big on Trump in the rap world, entertainment. I don't know how many, if I watched any episodes of the show that he had. I can't remember the name of. Yeah, like I'm not really a fan of Trump, but for me, it was a matter of what that person would presumably do in office. And they have a saying in the investment world that future performance is normally indicative of past performance. And so for me, I've seen presidents that I voted for, not voted for, get in office and do things and not do things. So for me as a conservative, I want somebody in office that's going to really represent, vote for, champion policies that are in line with my values. It sounds to me kind of boring, but just as a preface, when I turned 18 years old, I voted for the first time. And when I voted, my mother just pulled me aside and she said, Marlon, she said, you know, you're an intelligent person. And she said, before you vote, I want you to, she didn't tell me how to vote, who to vote for. She said, I want you to basically look up how these people what their record is in office. And so I looked up records and I was like, oh, I had just voted for Bill Clinton. I liked the way he talked on TV. I was like, yeah, he's a president for the brothers, for the black people. And I looked up and I realized that as far as his representation of who I am personally is not how he was going to represent me. So since then, I discovered that I align more my values, my Christian values, is with the Republican Party or conservative party. So that's my spiel on why and the why not.
I love it.
Got you. I have a question real quick. I'll say from online. Shout out to my guy Daryl checking in. He said, "Do people care about the character of a leader?"
Okay. I'd like to say a lot on that. Yeah, we should all care about the character of a leader, a person in any position that we are, holding in high regards. I mean, period. You want a man of integrity. Yeah, right. 100%. Who wants to be led astray by a fool? Nobody. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if I'm watching ESPN and I'm watching Stephen A. Smith do his commentary bit, I know what I'm going to get. Now, he going to give me his spin, but I know what I'm going to get. When Shannon Sharp bust a move, I know what I'm going to get. You know what I mean? So when Trump got into the business of wanting to be the president, did we forget that his tagline on The Apprentice was "You're fired"? Like,
we all knew that.
Did we lose our minds and feel like he was going to come into office and all of a sudden be Pope John Paul the 25th? I mean, come on. It's like we misunderstood the move that was being taken by making America great again. He was coming at it from a standpoint of talking about Clinton. Buddy back then had a deal that we weren't privy to with the Chinese that didn't allow them to pay taxes on imports and exports. Now, if we backpedal and we was a fly on the wall, how come Haiti was having to pay taxes on the rice that they were trying to bring in, or any other country that was trying to do their thing that was less fortunate than China? What was the deal that was going on there? So when all of a sudden that move gets pulled, then we start getting bombed at, 2020. Think about what happened, this whole movement. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but rewritings on the wall. There was a big shot that was, taken and thrown our way. And to me, that was in the more the lethal side of stuff. You know what I mean? When it comes to war type tactics, it wasn't bombs and grenades. It was, unfortunately through the drugs and all that kind of stuff. So chemical warfare. Mm-hmm. What you got, Marlon?
So as far as character, I think character is very important. I think in politics a lot, and in a lot of areas, in religion, in leadership. I don't make excuse for anybody in their actions. But as an example, I was talking a couple of weeks in Bible study, and we were talking about David. And I said, how many of you today, knowing what King David did, would want him to be your pastor?
Yeah.
Yet we don't remember him as all of the bad stuff.
Wow.
We understand. So there's a scripture in the Bible. One of my favorite scriptures is God told Samuel that King David is a man after his own heart. We all know that line.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But the other line, what he said after that, he said, he will do everything that I want him to do. Mm. And so understanding, I think God looks at us differently. So when I look at a Donald Trump from a personal perspective, I see a man who is not perfect, who was, I guess, for lack of a better word, flawed. Right. But I understand his heart and his mentality. We have a president who wants to put America first, and people have a problem with it. I don't understand it. I don't understand why my president should want another country to succeed ahead of America's.
100%.
So if my house is by your house, if we all live on the same block, I'm gonna take care of my household first.
Right.
Period. Point
blank. My dad was saying that overseas, there's different things, we're supposed to have alliances and whatnot. And he was going, do you realize that we have stations, different military bases all around in different, countries, and we're paying for them. And then when it comes down to saying, hey, we don't want to do that no more. You know what I mean? If you guys want us to, there's got to be some barter negotiation.
Some reciprocation.
And if not, we're going to pull out. Well, what happens? They want what we bring, what we have. And they, it's like, put some respect on my name. Like they end up going, okay, I'll pay the tab because I like what you offer and I like what you bring. But the world at large doesn't understand that. Marlon, I think you hit it right on the head. That we're not taking care of our own. We're willing to throw money, and all sorts of other things, but right here, even down to the wall, like we have locks on our doors. We don't just have all of our doors and windows, wide open for everybody to come through. But wait a minute, we can't put a wall up to separate and divide our country from another country and to protect our country. Nothing against, listen, I love all people, God does too.
It has nothing to do with love. It has nothing to do with not loving. Correct. It has nothing to do with
nothing. It's talk about, back to what you said. I'm just echoing it. Taking care of ours. That's all. You want to come in? My parents
do it
are
the right
Cuban,
way.
bro. Yeah, my parents are Cuban, Marlon. So we came 1960. We got kicked out of Cuba. All right. Communism, became a thing down there. And all of a sudden, my parents, who had, respectful jobs, they had money, they had 2-story mansions, they had maid servants, like they were living, they were balling, doing very, very well. Well, we come from there to America to find freedom. And in so we had to start over because Cuba wouldn't let them leave with anything. So we started on government cheese and the whole nine of food stamps and you name it. You know what I mean? So we stayed there, and it was a leg up. We were there, but we didn't stay there. It was a leg up. It was only meant for a leg up, not to hold us down. And now all of us, 500 strong, we so deep right now, we're all respectful people in society. We have jobs, we're holding it down, we're family men, the whole nine. So I look at what the United States of America offers, and then I look what people are talking, globally about the country. And that's why I'm so thankful that Trump is trying to restore the integrity of what we come to offer. You know what I mean? Freedom.
And DJ, no, before you go to the next question, I just kind of want to finish that thought though, as far as character, because I know a lot of people, they'll say, well, look what Donald Trump has said, look what he's done. He's been divorced, he fires people, he's discriminated. And some of those things are opinionated, some of those things may be fact. But my thing is, if you look at both sides of the fence, so to speak, and I'm not the kind of person, like we don't excuse people's behavior just because somebody else does it. But what I like about it, what my brother was saying is, what you're going to get with Donald Trump. What I love is a person who can tell me how they feel, what they think, and I know that that's exactly what it is. They're not going to go behind closed doors and say something different. As I think it's because I'm a man. I like tell it to me straight. Give me the good, the bad, and the ugly, so I know what I'm working with. And so with Donald Trump, when he got into office, one of the only presidents in my lifetime that everything that he said he was going to do. Yeah,
and he was convicted. Like he said it with like conviction. Like
he meant it all.
Yeah, like he meant it. And so let's talk about character. Let's I like staying here for a minute. Don't
I got one more thing to say after you. Then DJ, it'll be on
let's
you.
Stay, man. Let's go.
Let it sizzle. Let's talk about character. Buddy's getting paid. We, the citizens of the United States of America, are paying our president to be in office. Our tax dollars. He's giving it back to us and giving it back to charities that he believes in and things that are striving to help people and do good. He's giving it back. So he's going, I don't need your money. As far as I know, first president to not want to take a check,
accept the salary.
But does he really need it?
No.
He
Does
doesn't
he?
need it.
Okay. Does he need to run the country? Does he need to be president? No. He's
No.
doing it because he wants to help. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And that's so. So what else? What else you got on character? And then we'll move on.
So before I was kind of really into politics, because I think somewhere along, like right before President Obama, I got really involved in politics. When I say involved, personally involved,
Okay.
personally invested. Donald Trump has so many clips before he ran for president, where the liberals, I'll put it that, the liberal party was begging him to be president, and he was like, "No, probably not," because he literally said, "The way that I think and my ideas are probably not going to be popular." He was on Oprah, he was on Donahue, he was on all the old, and so it amazed me that
The
every
View.
time
He was on The View.
yeah, he was on the. They loved him.
Back
And so
then,
to me,
he was heralded. He was a thug. He was a rapper. Like all the rappers even loved him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So his character,
Yeah.
what he was saying was, hey, as a personal person, my beliefs for this country are probably going to be conservative American values, basically. And I don't think people really listened to him or understood what he was saying. Nobody did, because he really didn't put it out there.
Right.
But as far as character, I mean, as far as leadership, we have high expectations. He's one man that can only do a couple of things or several things in office, and he has some priorities. And I believe that the people of the United States voted understanding exactly what, as a matter of fact, not only do they know what to expect, they didn't have to expect it because they already knew. He had 4 prior years, and I'll get into some of the stats and the facts and all of that stuff. I'm a factual person. I'm a person that I think feelings are beautiful, but show me the facts, show me the evidence, and the things that he did. I literally saw the fruit of some of the policies that he. I was walking into a client's house one day, and it was the same day that on the news the cathedral in England, the Big Ben Cathedral, was on fire. As I walk in his house, I'm looking at it. And so we're talking, and they started talking about Donald Trump. And he was like, "Man, what do you think about Donald Trump?" I said, "Well," he asked me, he said, "How can a black person vote for Donald Trump?" I said, "Well, I can give you 3 or 4 good reasons right now." And he said, "Really?" Like, he literally stopped and said,
"Right.
Like, really?" I said, "Yeah." And so I gave 2 or 3. I did the HBCU. I did the black unemployment. I did, the faith based organization thing. I just hit him, I just kind of touched him up a little. And he was like, "Wow." And guess what he said? "I didn't know that."
Right.
I said, "Yeah, like, you really should find out what a person is doing, because what we see is on TV, as opposed to actually investigating and kind of really making sure we know our facts." So yes,
So
sir.
talk about racism and segregation.
Hey, before we do that, can I jump in? I want to talk about that.
Like, just
I want to jump in real quick. I'm gonna jump in. So I will say this on record. I'll put this on record because Marlon knows. What was it, 2015 when he first ran? Right. I was a never Trumper, point blank. Now, but I was open to what he had to say. Like, yeah, I was a never Trumper, but I was open to what I was like. Okay, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater type.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Why were you a never Trumper? Then
I'm going to get to that.
Yes, sir,
I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
That's exactly why I'm going to interject. The reason why is because I followed the news clips, right? Those little clips that I could chop up and edit after this show. Right. And put down, I could take the parts that I want everybody to hear. Right. What I realized over the years is I didn't listen to everything he said in context. You know what I'm saying? Like when he talked about when he was in Virginia, when he was in Charlottesville, right? And he said he was against, and I'm paraphrasing, he was against neo-Nazis and all those other folk, KKK members. He literally said that. But then if you kind of follow him throughout the years, they kept asking him the same questions about that same thing. And I think he was tired of answering the question because he already disavowed the KKK and neo-Nazis in that press conference. But the media only wanted to clip out certain pieces. Like they're fine people on both sides, which he was taken out of context. Right.
Right.
Even the wall, when he talks about the Mexicans and people coming from the border, and he said they're not sending their best. He didn't say all Mexicans that came
Mhm.
across or all Central Americans that came
Right.
across were bad people. He was just talking about the people that were bad,
Right.
the drug dealers, the sex traffickers, right?
Calling a
That's
spade a
who he's
spade. Like we can't do that. Like it's
not right. But people, and this is what got me too. I'm gonna tell you one of the things that really got me too. And I'll get off my little soapbox here.
nah. Keep moving.
Look, there was an interview. I think it was, oh gosh, it was like maybe 2017. Bernie Sanders was being interviewed, right? And I don't remember the news outlet. I can't even go back to the source and tell you where I found it, but I saw it visually with my own eyes.
Mm.
They asked Bernie Sanders. They said, "Did you intend to build the wall or want to create a law to build a wall at the Mexican border?" You know what he said? Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. So this was like as early as 2012, 2011, something
Right.
like that. Then all of a sudden, Trump wants to build a wall, and now he's racist.
Hey.
I'm like,
And then voting starts getting all crazy in this
yeah.
prior election. And what does Harris say? Oh yeah, we got to get back to building the wall.
It's
like-
crazy.
Because
Yeah.
Clinton was saying it
Yeah.
in an,
Bro,
in an address to Congress.
Yeah, it gets me
Clinton
so
was saying-
frustrated, man, because
Obama was big on it. Like,
yeah,
yeah, but it's racist.
yeah, it gets
The
me really
first black
frustrated.
president we had. Okay, so
It's a bad look. It's a bad look.
Yeah.
It's a bad separation, segregation that we have dividedly as a party. Like both parties. Like you're white if you're a Republican, and you're black if you're a Democrat, and it's like whoa. When did all of a sudden we have to pick a side based on our color and our skin tone? Like, man, I'm for freedom. You know what I'm saying? And I'm for what lines up with my beliefs as well. Like you said, Marlon, I mean, that's 1,000, you know? So I can go on and on and on and on.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
I get so frustrated because the move with the wall was never to not allow people into the country.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the first born. I'm here in the country because we were allowed to come into the country, but allowed to come into the country through all the proper documentation.
For
you know what's crazy though?
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I have a friend, a Hispanic friend. He's from Chihuahua, and he one day we worked together for a little while, and while we were working, I think Obama was the president at the time, and it was a lot of commotion about blah blah blah, migration and stuff, immigration. And he said this to me, and it's kind of shocked me. He said, "You know what? I've been in this country for 30 years, however many years it was." He said, "It took me 15 years to become a citizen."
Wow.
Now, I'm expecting him to be like, "This is wrong. They need to let us all in." He said, "If I did it right, everybody else should have to do it right." So when you see people trying to make it racial, saying black people should be Democrats, my question is why? Like, if the party is not, if I love abortions, if I want to, I can get real political. If I want to promote the Democrat platform as a person, black, white, whatever, that's my business, but not just because I'm black. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not a Christian just because I'm black. I don't work where I work just because I'm black. I don't think how I think. So why am I going to vote? And unfortunately, the black community is like over 85% rate, the highest of all ethnicities that we vote that way. And there's a lot of different reasons. Mm-hmm. I just feel like once you're educated, and once I started finding out stuff, me and DJ Noble, when we had a conversation, when he came to me, he was like, "Man, I'm never Trump," or blah blah blah. We didn't fall out. You know what I'm saying? We didn't like. We went out to dinner afterwards, if I remember right. Like, it was after, I was like, "Hey man, let's go get some barbecue." Because
Whitmore Jr. is one of my tightest homies, man. Love the guy to life, bro. There's some things that him and I disagree on, but
At the
What
end
I'm
of the
what
day,
I'm
we should
going
be.
to do? I'm
If
not
a
going to love you,
person,
not be friends with you
yeah,
no more. Oh
yeah,
man.
if a
Right,
person is
right.
not a Christian, I should be able to win them over, not by arguing with them, but by continuing to break bread with them. Now, I never
Mm-hmm.
once. I tell people this. I don't try to convince people. I don't try to convince people to become born again. I'm gonna give you the information, and guess what? I'm gonna pray that you take the information and you make the best decision. I'm not gonna
Right.
try to. But if you ask me why, I'm gonna say this is why, this is why, and this is why. Because my mindset is I can't convince anybody, but what I can do is I can share my story, I can share my information. So when we look at things through a lens of our color, I mean,
Mm.
they're not to take away from it. Obviously, like I can't take away from your experience. Like we all, but guess what? We're all here at this time, despite our experiences, having a conversation. I listened to your last podcast, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. I really wanted to be on that mug. DJ Novo. I started taking notes.
We'll have to get a reunion.
Yeah, we're gonna have to collaborate.
Hey, look.
They
But
don't
as far
want the
we here
smoke.
for.
They don't want the
but as
smoke.
far as character, man, as far as for me, I have to make individual decisions, and it's not just for me individually, but I also look at it because I have the decisions I make politically and otherwise. It doesn't just affect me. It's going to affect the people in my community, people in my family. So I know people, for instance, I know a family who they are conservative, but because of their immigration situation, they don't like Trump because it hits their house personally. And I'm like, but how would that look as a nation if your one situation was allowed for everybody in the nation? That's not how it works. So that's just like saying I'm at my job and I think we should be able to hire certain people because they're in my family. Well, what if everybody at this job get to hire that one person in our family who X, Y, and Z? You're not going to even want to work there. So I think it just has to be some rationale.
And,
Yeah.
hold on.
Go
Before
ahead.
you go any further, and you may no longer work there because there may not be enough opportunities for jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how come the people that aren't citizens are getting better health care than the ones that are? You know what I mean? Like this, man, there's so many things, bro, that we could dive into, and people just fail to.
I like that. I like that point too, though, because that kind of really that's just a fact. You know what I'm saying?
Fact, Jack. But they don't want to go there.
Yeah.
They don't want to go there. And listen, I keep on going back to, man, love God, love people. But at the same time, if that statement, you have to also love the order, because there is order to that. Love God, love people. There's a lot of structure in the things that he put together. So if you love God, then you love honesty, you love integrity, you love, work ethic. Like there's a lot of different things. So don't lose that. Don't
some people, some people, they will focus on the love and they say America is a country that should have open arms for everybody, but that's obviously not true.
Hold on. No, what's that word? You say it again. What that word is, America should be free.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's freedom in America, 100%. Freedom's going to cost you. Our salvation cost Jesus big cash. Okay.
Yeah.
And we got the benefits of reaping that, you know what I mean? And now we're inheriting that. So what do we do with that gift? You know what I mean? Like, what do we disrespect it? No, we have it all the way up. You know what I mean? We hold it in high regards, in utmost respect. You know what I mean? With tons of love. We want to share it. We want others to feel that same thing. So I look at everything that's going on right now in the country, and we're moving in a better direction prior than the past 4 years. And what I'm more interested in not only making America great again, but making America safe again. Not just from, the cartels kind of moving, all that stuff. No, but just from what's on TV, what's on, the radio, what's being thrown in our kids' faces on a daily basis. You know what I mean? The news, the media outlets are way different than when you and I were kids, you know, and that continues to just be polluted and corrupted. And if somebody doesn't stand up and go, hey man, we need to take care of the babies, we're not looking out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Because honestly, over the past at least 20 years, the media has been biased,
Mhm.
right, toward the left,
Crazily, like
right.
real crazy. Like it's real crazy. I watch a
But
show. I'm
you,
not going to say the name of it, but I watch a show, and what I like about it, there's a panel of Republicans, Democrats, and Independents.
Mm.
Several people. I'm not going to say the number, and I get to hear all of their viewpoints, and I get to digest all of that. And not necessarily that it guides me, but I can kind of get a sense of how people think, and then I get to say, okay, well, how do I think? I believe that our Creator, I believe God holds us responsible as Christians uh, to really be a light in every space that we are. And I think politics is probably one of the most important places because we're talking about policies. They came to Jesus and said, "Hey, Jesus, look, who should we obey?
Right.
We obey Rome, or should we obey the law?" Jesus said, "Bring me some money."
Yeah.
You so basically Jesus is saying, "Do both." And you should
right, right.
understand, you use your wisdom
Yeah.
to understand how to operate. So guess what? How can I be an effective witness
Mm.
for the kingdom of God if my politics do not align with the word of God? So
Mm.
when we say that Christianity and the Bible is not political, we are absolutely correct. But guess what? Has
It
politics
always played a part.
has been a problem, in my opinion. And
Hey,
so,
but all politics were even throughout the Bible. There was
oh
there
yeah,
was tons of
Hmm.
stuff. I mean,
it's all, the Bible is money. It's everything that we have now.
yeah,
Yeah.
from when king when there wasn't called presidents, they were called kings.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was always there.
Yeah.
Like we almost forgot that. Like, yo, this
Mhm.
ain't nothing new, you
Yeah.
know. But OG is for real, man. That line was classic. Yo, give to Caesar what's Caesar's, give to God what's God, man. I'm out. I'm gonna go
He
catch a
said,
fight with you in the
I'm
back
about
of
to get.
Pete.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I mean, Jesus did that throughout, man. Like
right.
he would just drop bombs on people and then drop the mic.
I love it,
I'm
man.
out.
Hey, let's
He
talk.
said
You know
he
what? You
said the
guys brought up
people
some interesting
marveled.
points. I
They
want to bring up
marveled.
some of the points that you guys brought up. One of them is we talked about the racial factor earlier.
Okay.
I don't have the figures in front of me. Sorry, Marlon. I don't have the data in
Are you
front of
good,
me,
man? You
right?
good?
But what I do know is this: there were more black folks that voted for Trump this go around, and Latinos that did the same thing. Um,
And the
over
women's.
since and the women
Mhm.
since what? When was it? Since what? The Nixon era or something like the Nixon campaign back in what was that? 68, 72, somewhere around there. Why do you guys think that was the case?
I
Why
can
do you
go
think
first on
more
this one.
blacks and Latinos are coming? Now I know I mean, Marlon, you were talking about kind of like more blacks vote Democrat over the years, and I
Right.
think with the Latino community is a lot different because you have
Well, I'm
Cubans,
Cuban.
Colombians, Mexicans,
Yeah, I'm
right?
Cuban. So I could tell you why we voted for Trump.
Go
I
ahead.
know
Go
We
why
ahead.
y'all, but go ahead.
we voted for Trump because we were not interested in, getting this country to be ran by communists.
Socialism.
Like,
Yeah.
not at all interested. And that was the way that the world was literally going. We were at a divide. It was like, it was going fast the other way. And we were watching
Right.
that. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. We've already experienced that. We
Mhm.
left Cuba so that we could have freedom here, and
Cuba was
now,
a paradise, right? I mean,
oh,
back in the
God,
50s
beautiful,
when
beautiful.
Fidel Castro loved baseball, right?
Yeah, well, things happen, man. But anyways, I'm grateful that a lot of people opened their eyes and realized, man, this ain't adding up the way that this Biden Harris administration has this country going and being ran. This ain't right, So everybody started catching the wave and seeing it turn red, especially down here in Florida. We were thrilled because we ran the block hard, man. We all came out in droves and going, whoa, we got to stop this pump the bake. And I'm not trying to be, the divide and only be Republican, only be Democratic. I'm like you, Marlon. I vote more my belief than anything, you know, and kind of my values. But I look at it from the business perspective and the freedom perspective. Republican movement has it in the bag. Like, we are more for the people than Democrats really realize.
You know, I think it's a I think what the Democrat Party has been able to do so well over the years is advertise their marketing, and even, in my opinion, what you can call buying the votes. They have seen, okay, if we give the people this, we can get the whole bag.
Right.
So what they've done with certain communities is say, we are for you. We're going to give you this little change. And in the meantime, it's almost like modern day slavery. A lot of people, they act like the Republican Party is modern day slavery, doesn't like the programs. They're not the party of the people. But I just think we have to understand what the two parties actually stand for. So you have people that, you know, they want it easy, you know, they want the free checks, whatever, you know, and then you have people that they understand.
Who doesn't?
Exactly. But let me ask you this though, Eddie. But let me ask you this though, Eddie.
Oh no. I was gonna tell you before you asked me, but but go put the question so online knows.
Yeah, but check, even though we do love the free money, at the same time we understand, you know, there are a lot of people.
Hey, we're paying for it.
Thank you. So that's what I was going to say. A lot of people don't understand.
Thanks for my money in
somebody
advance,
one time.
I said, have to pay it later. Like,
yeah, I said this to somebody. I said, do you know that the federal government does not make any money? All the money that the federal government gives is from the taxpayer. So anytime they want to spend more money, they have to take more money. And somebody goes, wow, I never knew that. And so when you understand government, how finances work,
right.
If you run the country like your house, you understand, okay, if I borrow.
Yeah.
So
that's just what Trump is doing, Marlon. That's just what he's doing. That's what he came to do. He wants to run this country like he's running his own house, his own businesses, and take everything back.
Mm-hmm. And I love it. I think even the two terms, liberal and conservative, I think when you look at those, just the face value of what they are, I think most people, if they are conservative, it's because of the things that they have to lose or to gain. For instance, guess what? When I was young, I was running the streets. I was spending money like crazy. I was wild. But as I got older, I said, okay, now that I'm older, I want a family. So as a family, guess what? I can't spend like crazy. I have to have a budget. I have to understand finances. I have to be conservative in my values. Right. I can't do whatever. I can't go out and commit crimes if I want to still support my family. Whereas another person might say, man, this is how I'm going to be for the rest. And so the question is, to have a good, successful society, it has to be a good, successful family. Healthy families make healthy societies. And so when we look at things like our religion, our faith, our churches, our schools and our organizations, our politics, like, what are the values? When I say values, I mean, what are the things that are going to add value to our lives? Yep. Guess what? I would love not to have to work. But guess what? I know that when I do work, that I get paid and then I can do whatever I want to do with my money. I would not, but do I really want to not work when I think about it? You know what I'm saying? Like, when I think about it as a person, as a responsible, do I really want to not have to work?
You got to contribute to society, man. You know, greater good. Yeah. There's so much in that, man. You can unpack so much, you know, but there's proverbs that talk about the lazy man, you know, and what happens to the lazy man. And it talks about the earnest man. It talks about the wise man.
It's a mentality, man, that says, I will pay my own. And not only will I pay my own way, but I will make a way for somebody else. You know, what's crazy is how certain parties paint things like, I forgot who I was talking to, but I was talking about how the Democrat Party often says things like, oh, they need to pay their fair share of taxes. Okay. And I explained it to somebody. If I'm a billionaire with a company and I employ 1,000 people, My 1,000 people are paying taxes. They're spending into the economy. So that's my contribution to society. And the government says, thank you for creating these jobs. We're going to give you a tax break because you're creating wealth. You're creating, and people go, well, that's not fair. Okay, but is it fair when you come home? But guess what you can do? You can start a business as well. You can start a business when you're 15, 17, 25, 35. I think Colonel Kentucky Fried Chicken dude didn't start until he was like in his 70s. You know what I'm saying? So Abraham got started in his 90s.
Yeah.
Hey, and before we get to the next thing, what you just said was key, but take it a step further, because if you tax the rich heavy, then what happens to everybody that they're employing?
Less money.
Less money or no jobs.
So
like you said, they're gonna take it overseas. So then,
yeah,
it begs the question: what are you really accomplishing by taxing heavy the rich? Why?
I think they're already rich, man.
What are you trying to accomplish?
Yes,
exactly. They are intelligent, and they're treating us like we're dumb.
Yeah,
and when you open your eyes, and you know what? I respect people who feel the way that they feel. If it's a Democrat and that's the value that if they choose to be a Democrat because of I respect that. I'm not going to disrespect, but I know what I believe and I know what I value, and I'm not going to let you disrespect how I look at it either. Yes, I do have issues sometimes, and I'm gonna say this because I don't really get to talk about political stuff. Every now and then at church, I get to kind of touch on the people say things like, "Oh, they need to take guns," and I'll be like, "Well, if somebody come up to my house, it's gonna be a problem." So if somebody came up in your house and they had a gun, would you want to have a gun? Well, yeah, I would. Okay, so why do you want everybody else? Because guess what? If I'm a law-abiding citizen and I have a weapon, I'm not going to go out and commit a crime. But the criminal with the gun, they don't care what laws are passed. But anyway, so looking from a Christian lens, because I honestly try to do everything from my Christian lens because I'm not that smart unless I'm obeying the word of God. God says this is smart. I say, okay, well, let me go on and do this. So if the Bible says thou shalt not, and then this party says we shall, for me, that's a red flag. And some people, they'll go there and they'll say, well, it's not just about one issue. I totally guarantee. For me, it's like 10 issues. It's like 10 separate issues that I can look at and say, this is the way that I vote because this is my faith. I'm not going to beat nobody else down. But what I would love to ask the question. And I've had individual conversations with people that pull me aside. They'd be like, Pastor Seahorn or Brother Seahorn, you said this. What do you think? And I can have a 15-minute conversation with somebody and get the conversation has never ended in, you know what, you crazy, you don't know what you're talking about. Most of the time I get a, wow, you know what, you're right. Because I'm not talking emotions. I'm not talking out of fear. I'm just giving facts. I'm giving like, hey, one of the things I was going to touch on tonight, and I'll give the floor back. One of the reasons I'm a conservative Republican, proud Republican, I guess you can say, is when I look at the history of both parties. Like most people don't understand when I was young, I thought, what's your boy Abraham Lincoln? I thought he was a Democrat when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? Like, just think about this. He was a Republican that emancipated the slaves. And so, but it's amazing how different groups will try to. Today we talk about rewriting history. Oh, they're trying to rewrite history. Okay, well let's look at the history books.
Bro, they're trying to rewrite the Bible though. Everything. I mean, come on, man. Adam and Eve. Now they trying to rewrite that. I mean, we can go on and on and on, Jack. I mean, it don't end. It's like putting a frog in a pot of boiling hot water. Turn the temp up every so slightly before it's too late. Frog ain't gonna know. Blows up, it's gone. And that's what I'm like. Please, Lord, protect our babies, protect our country. And I'll tell you what,
we can transition to that.
On the money game. I want to get back on the money game because people really need to hear this.
Go ahead.
So when our economy tanks, typically it's because the lefts are in office and they're taxing heavy the rich, and then it ends up that the jobs have to go away. So then what everything happens is it goes this way. So everything goes up. The prices of everything goes up, 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 and nobody has any money. So then they're relying on the government, and that's exactly what the government wants. Well, as far as the left is concerned, they want you to be reliable on them, and they
Keeps them
want
in power
to control you and enslave you. And when you realize that, and then understand why initially I said the whole business move is why I'm a big fan of Trump. When you realize that the country is a business and needs to be ran as such, then you go, oh, snap. I got to pay attention to that, because we're watching prices go down. Prices are going down. Why? What changed? Trump's in office. That changed.
Yeah.
So what you got, Noble?
So I want to transition. You hear what I'm saying? So we'll talk about the trans issue, right? Let's just go into it. I personally don't have a problem with people that claim they are. The problem I has is with the youth, right?
Okay.
The young people, right? The young people, and I have an issue with
hold on. I'm
the
a
whole
double back.
sports issue too.
I'm a double back. You said you don't have a problem with what?
I don't have a problem if an adult
Trans.
says
He said trans issue.
If an adult wants to transition, that's on them, right? But if a kid wants to, that's a different story. They haven't made up their mind on what they want, and I'm taking my faith totally out of this when it comes to that, because
I get it.
We live in America, right? We live in the land of the free. People should make up.
Home with the Chiefs.
Have their own decisions, right? But I don't think biological men should be in women's sports.
Right.
That's why I take a stand, though, right?
Yep.
And we see the issue in Maine. I think it was in the news today. The issue in Maine, where Maine said, "Nah, we're gonna continue to let biological men or trans girls, trans men, whatever, participate in women's sports." And my thing is, if you reverse that, how many trans men
nobody doing that one? Yeah.
are competing in men's sports?
Yeah, they're not.
Why
They're
isn't
not.
nobody talks about it. That always gets ignored, man. What do y'all think? I'm gonna drop the ball. Let you run with it.
You want me to go, Eddie? I can go first.
Yeah, man, because I got a lot to say on that one, B. So,
I can make mine short. That way you can go and take it from there. So again, I think it's real simple, man. Like that's not hard at all. Like, you have a Democrat party that says that they are for women until it's really about their life. Until you get a Democrat person that does something and they don't do anything about the Me Too movement, about the woman that speaks out against that man who supposedly did something inappropriate. We've seen that. I think it was Joe Biden, the allegations about Joe Biden that was out when he ran for president. Nobody said anything.
Man, that dude did some creepy stuff, though. Look at the videos, y'all.
He got
some weird,
he got a lot of footage.
Stuff.
Yeah, he got a yeah. And so when it comes to
go ahead.
So when it comes to the trans issue, and when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community, personally, it bothers me personally. I have my friend that I was telling you about, my Hispanic friend. He was a gay man. Me and him are cool. So as personal, I don't have nothing against it. But because of my Christian beliefs, right or wrong, that's a whole different thing. But when it comes to the sports community, if I had a daughter, I wouldn't want her to have to compete against a boy at certain times and certain levels. I would think that if I was a Democrat and I had a daughter and that happened, I would probably leave my party, because I would be like, that's not right. So I think it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, on face value, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I just believe that, the anatomy that God created you with, that is your gender. And there is nothing you can do to change that. You can strive to, you could want to. Listen, I want $1 billion and I, want to own Cadillacs and mansions all over the world. It's not my reality right now. You know what I mean? Well, if I work hard enough, I can go get it. So I can make a choice to make moves to push in that direction.
Right.
But it's not right now what I have. You know what I mean? So I look at a lot of stuff and I go, once they sway and shift with the winds. Desires, same thing, but your anatomy is stringed together in your mother's womb. So I personally, God love him. I love him. I love what's going on. But to me, it's a mental and a heart issue. And I struggle with it because I'm like, I just don't get it. It seems like a mental mishap there. And you're allowing that to continue to feed you and push you and allow you to believe the hype. No, that's not the way that God designed you. God designed you a man, that you're a man. If God designed you a woman, you're a woman. That's it. Point blank, period. Anything else, man, you're just entertaining the lies and getting beat up. And I feel bad, you know what I mean? Because that's not what God intended, But we've seen all that move in the Bible. We've seen that even, prior to this time. So ain't nothing new under the sun. But when it comes down to allowing people who choose to, deviate from the way that they were formed in their mother's womb, I got a problem with it. And definitely it should not be happening in sports. That's hands down, or in bathrooms or anywhere else for that matter. You know what I mean?
And I think the key word, what you were saying, DJ, is in that one specific segment in the sports where you have the competition, it is literally tangibly a difference, and the difference is not only notable, there's a huge variation. Just how it would be. It's just like saying children in grade school competing with professional players.
Right.
Like it's not the same. It's not the same. So it's not about discriminating. To me, it's not about excluding. It's not about making somebody feel bad or good. It's about this. It's common sense. So one of the things that they're saying about Donald Trump is he looks at common sense issues. When it came to the abortion issues, a lot of conservatives did not like that he has a certain stance as far as the exceptions.
Right.
He's like, hey, I understand what we believe, but when it comes to the real meat of the issue, it's such a small, minute fraction of people that are getting abortions for this reason. Right. So guess what? We can give this part for the totality of the good of things that we can't control anyway. And that's a complicated situation. The beautiful thing about some of the things we're talking about tonight,
but not choices. Like that's what drives me nuts. We keep on talking about it. It's choices. So if you choose to have sex, and then all of a sudden you reap the reward and the benefit of the sex from the thrill of it, and then also the prize of it, don't get mad and all going, oh wait, no, I didn't want that. Well, you did want it because you wanted everything before the ultimate prize of what and how sex was designed. So that I get really frustrated with that. It's the same thing, with the gay movement. Like, God didn't create you that way. You decided to be that way. You chose to be that way. Right. Some people want to argue the fact that, okay, I get it. And if you didn't choose to be that way, then something in your past happened, like those small percentages of, people that have been raped, and then they're the ones that are petitioning for the abortion. Well, something, happens, unfortunately. And man, it's so wrong and it's so bad. But then kids get, molested, jacked up as when they're younger. And then all of a sudden the outcome is they swing the other way. You know what I mean? So, and there's documentation and stuff, all that, but nobody wants to talk about that. They just want to go.
And
Nah,
DJ Noble,
God moved me this way.
Yeah.
Nah, man, don't blame our Father. Don't put that on him. Don't like my buddy say. Don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
Talladega. Oh, I'm gonna say this one last line because DJ Noble, you were saying about the youth and the young people, people who don't even know how to choose what they want to eat, can all of a sudden say, "Guess what? I want to be a pony." Children who are of the age that they can't even choose their bedtime. You know what I'm saying? This is what we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about you're a child. I have some nieces and nephews, man. I had a niece and nephew that was asking me what I was going to do. I said, I'm going to do whatever I want to today because I'm grown. Yeah. And so I'm grown with the capabilities of making up my mind. And guess what? Sometimes I still don't know. But when you have a child who has a certain capacity that's so easily influenced, I think that's just the enemy, man. When you not on in a lot of instances, it's not allowing the child to decide, it's influencing that child. I know a gang of 100%. Stories. I know a gang of stories. Facts. So I'll do like Jesus. I'll just drop it right there.
Hey, look, man, look, just to give you a little bit background information, I used to be a high school teacher, right? So I ran into kids all the time, right, that said that they were this, and then the next year there's something else. They go back to the OG. Right. Hey, man, I thought you were gonna. I didn't say it to him, but I'm thinking it. Like, hold on, you said you were. Now this year you're this. You went back. I mean, like it's like they're confused, man. A lot of these kids are confused, man.
Yeah,
that's why they call them. That's why they call them children, though, man. They're children for a reason.
When you see like
pray for our country, man, save our babies.
See parents that say, "Oh, my 3-year-old said who's a boy wants to be a girl." Or a girl wants to be a boy at 3 years old, just because they like ponies, or they saw mama in their pink dress and they thought it was nice.
Man,
so that doesn't mean that they wanted to be.
And hold up, Noble, where's Dad at? Hold up, where's Dad at in the house?
Where is he at? Where's Dad
at that? Marlon, where's Dad at that house?
Because Dad ain't gonna put up with it, you know.
So Dad ain't there. So Dad ain't there. You see what I'm saying? So then the boy is watching the only thing he's got. You know what I mean? You mimic who you're around.
So
all of a sudden, all he sees is mom. So what he's gonna be like? Mom. There ain't no dad. So he ain't got nobody to look up to. It's the story of Tarzan. Tarzan was a man. He was a boy. Okay?
Yeah.
He wasn't no monkey. How did he become able to, the fairy tale, man? How he was able to leap like a monkey? He hung with the monkeys.
He ran with
monkey? No. But I'll save my energy for tomorrow. I got a lot of work to do.
All right, hey, man, I need you more. I need you a little bit more, Eddie. I need you a little bit more, man. So let's keep bringing that energy, at least for a little bit more. Cool. So I wanted to bring up a point, right? And this is something that said, I hear a lot of people say this. They'll say that we're talking about abortion. Let's move to abortion a little bit. They say that conservatives want to pass these laws because the white population has gone down and they need more white babies. And that's the reason why they want to pass these anti-abortion laws. What do you guys say about that?
Interesting. Well, I don't know if the Republican Party has ever been. Yeah, I don't think the Republican Party has ever been pro-abortion. As a matter of fact, when you look up the history of abortion, I think we all know the history of abortion. I can't think of the lady's name. I think it starts with an M. But
Margaret Sanger.
Bam. So it was really initially an agenda to depopulate the Black population. And it's well documented in videos and stuff of her actually talking that. And so I don't know if that's true or not, what you just said, but I do know this. If there is an agenda that's anti-biblical, if God said populate the earth, and then you have an agenda that says we need to depopulate, I think that's on face value. That's a clear sign of an anti-Christ agenda.
Yeah, man. And
so if we just open our eyes enough to be able to recognize, because what they'll do is they'll package it up. They'll say, oh, it's because of this reason or this reason. And I can get like real spiritual and talk about, the original sins. But when you make things about you instead of being about God, I saw a preacher. Oh my gosh, just came to my mind. He was saying how that movement, talking about the abortion industry, is the opposite of God's agenda. That God said, I will die so that many can live. And where the abortion industry says they need to die so I can live. I was like, wow. Wow. So
Another mic drop.
Yes. Your thoughts, Eddie?
I don't have no thoughts because I've never heard that gibberish.
Oh man, I've heard it a few times.
And it I mean, I was just hanging with somebody the other day. They white and they're gonna have a baby. You know what I mean? And I was hanging out the other day with somebody that was black and they getting ready to have a baby. And I was hanging out with somebody the other day that's Spanish and they getting ready to have a baby. I'm seeing babies all over the place. I mean, I don't know what anybody else is talking about. People are making babies, man. So, hey, be fruitful and multiply. That's what the Father said, man. Let's keep it going. And anything that is pushing against that and trying to make it a singularity movement ain't the move of God.
Absolutely. And let's get on to this topic real quick. I know this has been a hot topic, right? DEI. What are your thoughts on DEI and the removal of DEI in the federal government?
What you got, Marlon?
So I'm very versed in DEI. Somebody very close to me actually works in that industry. So I kind of know a lot about it, I guess you could say, as much as a person could know without actually being employed in that industry. So one thing I don't like is we have laws in place. And when the government comes along and says, hey, we need another law, but they're not enforcing the current law that does exactly the same thing, I'll think to myself, why do we have to pass another law when we're not enforcing this law? And so recently, we had the Target situation, boycotting all these businesses. Black Friday, I think is what they called it. I was getting text messages, email, Facebook posts, Black Friday, boycott Target, some other businesses, show them how to black dollar, blah, 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 because they're getting rid of DEI. My thing is this, for my Christian brothers and sisters who wanted to participate in it because they were doing it because of DEI, how it impacts African Americans, I was like, well, why is it when they put the LGBTQ plus stuff in these stores and they promoted it big time, why didn't Christians come out to say we're going to boycott because they're pushing this agenda? You walked into the stores and they had the rainbow stuff everywhere. So that kind of bothered me. But what I feel personally about it is, the civil rights movement, which I believe is appropriate, that all men are created equal. We should be able to all vote. We shall have the same opportunity. I know that DEI does not really impact the people that feel like it should be impacting them. That it's mostly for, when you talk about ethnicities, it's not for Black people, even though they advertise it for that. So I have a problem with false advertisement. I was talking to
it sounds like gibberish. It's almost nothing.
Exactly.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah,
I mean,
but what it is, what's crazy though? Yeah, what it is? It's
what exactly are you looking for?
Yeah. What is it? What is the intended purpose versus what it's actually going to accomplish? So when Donald Trump says, or the administration says, okay, we're going to remove this DEI, which is basically saying we have to do certain things that are not really in alignment with civil rights, as far as being fair, as far as, say, for instance, if I'm going to a job interview versus you guys, if they discriminate because I'm Black, there are laws against that. You don't have to. I want the best candidate. You know what I'm saying? I don't want the best Black candidate. I don't want the best Cuban candidate. I don't want the best white candidate, whatever it is. I want the best candidate. And I do understand. I'm not naive to think that there are not racist people. I'm not so naive as to think that there are people that don't discriminate. But when I am confident in who I am as a person, what I bring to the table, I've been able to be successful, not because of my color, but because of what I bring to the table. Because I'm going to work, I'm going to, I'm going to do what I need to do. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I also look at the fact that you're trying almost to clean up people's hearts by forcing them to abide by a law when the law originally, prior to Jesus sacrificing his life to fulfill the law, was there to show us how messed up and jacked we are, and we couldn't even follow the 10 that God gave Moses, let alone the hundreds of others that everybody was like, yo, show us what we got to do to be made right. So we still have a sin issue. We still have, things that taint us and affect us mentally, the whole nine, and it's like, if you go to a room and your peace resides there, rock there. If it doesn't, dust your feet off and move on. Society is trying to make a bigger deal about it, because if you're not accepted here, where are you accepted? Go there then. That's how I feel. And I believe, Marlon, that we've strived a long way, since slavery days and all that kind of stuff. So the way they've heightened it and all that, I don't see it like that. You know what I mean? Because in my fields, I see multi-ethnic groups all over the place. You know what I mean? I don't see one-sided. So we're definitely seeing a lot more of that personally. And I believe you guys are as well. And we're even seeing it in the White House and in governments and in schools and in places of authority, that we want the best candidates. I mean, look who Trump has teamed up with. Kennedy's, the heir, one of the seats, the throne of Kennedy. Yeah. That was the, big top dog, JFK superstar, presidential man, myth, legend, 09. One of his heirs is now teamed up with Trump, who typically wouldn't rock that way. You know what I mean? And now he's going, well, it's bigger than me and it's bigger than a party, And then you've got Elon Musk. I mean, come on, bro. All these things are happening. So anybody,
he's sacrificing everything, man. You talking about somebody that's sacrificing something? Like I just saw a video today where in Sweden, of all places, like Sweden, they're vandalizing the stores in Sweden. Why do they even care, man? It's like
right.
But but when you talk about, we were talking about,
he made electric cars.
Well, what's crazy is, like, he was their boy,
right?
Like, to me, it's just a car. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they make it more than about what it is because of an agenda.
There you go.
They don't hate Elon. They
so
hate Trump.
I think to wrap it up, DEI is just an agenda, and we're not privy to the full picture, but we can kind of get it. And I'm not falling for it. I'm not jumping in. I was very, very bothered. It's amazing that, the lefts or the movements, the alphabet people, as Chappelle calls them, when they put all these things in motion and we're bothered by it, they want to, call us haters and these, malicious terms and words. But at the same time, I don't want to adopt to your philosophy. So if I walk into Target and I have to explain to my kids what XYZ means and they're too young to understand it, I'm not cool with that. That we shouldn't be subjected to what you believe, because that's your personal conviction or choice of what you've, decided to do with your life. So
got you. Yeah, I mean, that's all you got to do. I mean, for me, I don't mind explaining stuff, but I got
it's
plenty
I
of.
think it's healthy, man. Like
I
I
think,
understand
yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah.
I think it's healthy.
at what age though? At what age though?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
So
think it
from your
matters.
Because
perspective,
I'll
you
be, I'll
because
be honest.
my
I think
babies
it,
are under. Let me put a
I
disclaimer.
think
My
it's easier
babies
for
are
me
under
because
10. My
yeah,
babies
no,
are under 10.
I
yeah.
think it. For me, I say personally, just for me. This is just me. Personally, because I have a lot of gay family and friends, man, or people I know in the past. So for me, it's easier for me to explain and to talk about. Hey, man, God loves you regardless of where you are. You know what I mean? And then let God handle that. But I hear what you're saying too. But I think it all comes to our education. Now, that's
Mhm.
kind of like the school system too, right? If you have that right, if they want to have drag queen story time at the library, right? Whatever they do, I should have the right to say I don't want my kids in there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
if they do it, so be it. But give me that opt out. You know what
Right.
I mean? It's I think that's the funny thing about America, right? And you brought some other points. And like, look, if you want somebody that's going to bake a cake for you, you don't have to be the one that does it. But
Right.
hey, you can go down the street and get it. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing with America and the whole DEI situation.
Right.
We don't really need it from that perspective because anywhere you go, people have their own values, their own ways of life, and you can find it wherever you want in America.
Mhm.
I think the problem to me, and this is my issue, I think a lot on the left and a lot of the right, we have polarizing issues, and we keep man. And if we're run by Democrats in the next 4 years or 8 years, it might just come right on back.
Right.
I
Oh,
say we're
it's a
on.
cycle. Yeah, it's a
It's a
cycle.
cycle. It's like a nauseating ride on this ride I call the battering ram. Right, you're
Yeah.
going up and that you swing. If you've been so you I don't know if Busch Garden Tampa has this, but if Busch Garden Williamsburg in Virginia, they have this ride called the battering ram, and it
Mm,
goes swings up. It's like a big old pendulum. It goes up down. I mean, it's nauseating and it's
wow.
kind of scary at times, but that's how I feel like America is today. So I'm like, look, if you want to bake, you want a cake, somebody gonna make it. It
Hmm.
doesn't have to be me. It
Right.
might not be that person down there, but somebody, and probably there's tons of options. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like
Right.
the other point I've always made is like my wife is black. All right. If I went to a church and a pastor says, you know what, I don't like your relationship because you're an interracial couple. Well, guess what? I don't want your services either.
I'm out.
I'm out.
And and
if
and
you
you know what you're not gonna do, and not to take your words, you're not gonna pick it in front of the guy and try to
right.
change the guy's mind. He's convicted.
Nope.
Yo, I'm out.
I'm out. That's
I
it.
don't want to argue here. I'm
Enough
out.
said.
I'm out.
Enough said.
I'm gonna go with my tribe. I'm gonna go rock with them. You want to
Yep.
stay in your sin of racial, being a racist and all those kind of
Yeah.
things and being, blinded to, the fact that we are just people. We are all
Yeah.
people. Forget the color of skin. We are people. If you don't want to subscribe to that, bro, I can't force you. Only God could
Yep.
do that. But I'm out.
Yeah. I'm out.
I'm
Gone.
out. I mean, that's where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, we're gonna probably be, man. We're in America, man. This is the longest lasting constitution in the world. We ain't going nowhere, man.
Still the
Right.
best too, from what
Still
I
Still
the
the
best.
best,
understand.
regardless who's in office, too.
They
It
still
doesn't
got a
matter.
line trying to get in.
Yeah, yes. All checks and balances, man. I think people don't understand either that part either. It's checks and balances, man.
Right.
Mhm.
So anyway, hey, so before we go to some last thoughts, if you want to give your information about
Mm.
yourself,
Mhm.
websites, IG handles, whatever you have, just go ahead and drop that. Marlon, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I ain't on IG. But God is good.
All the
But I mean,
time.
you can look me up. Again, I'm an assistant pastor at Kansas City Community Church. I'm here on my own word though. So I would just say, man, the topic is why Donald Trump. So for me, it's not so much why Donald Trump, but it's why I vote the way that I do. My conservative values that align with my biblical values when it comes to 90% of the policies and the procedures of the party that I normally vote with. As a Christian, I just think it's important, man, that the Bible says in all that you do, do it as unto the Lord. And politics should not be one of those areas where I exclude. I don't leave my Bible at the door when I go to vote. And so I would just encourage people, man, regardless of what your belief is, regardless of your background, really to educate yourself about where you vote. Don't just go from one source. Don't believe what people say. A lot of times when people say a person said, but they don't have the person saying it, I'm skeptical. Early in Donald Trump's, his first run for office, people was on the news like secondhand saying what he said, but they never showed what he said. And that kind of bothered me because I would go to another network and they would show his whole speech and I would be like, well, that's not what they said he said. And it was amazing to me, the people that I came in contact with that really did not know the truth about what he was saying or what he stood for. And I think people now, because of what was said about the last president and administration, what they said he said and what he actually did, people are like, wow, like it's like the opposite. Donald Trump said this when he didn't say it. And now they're saying, okay, this person, this is what this administration, pushes, but it really wasn't. And so, just kind of really educating yourself and really, praying about how you vote, praying about how you witness, praying about every aspect of your life. Appreciate the opportunity, DJ Noble, Brother Eddie.
Yes,
pleased to meet you, man. Hopefully we can stay connected, man. And in the last podcast that you had on this topic, some of the things what the brothers were saying as a Christian, I don't have to lay down my Christianity to have compassion either. So when it comes to like the immigration issues, some of the things that they say Republicans aren't for, it's just not true. It's just not true. I can be pro-immigration, but just doing it the right way, because as an American, if I broke the laws, they would hold me accountable. Right. I would be in jail. They would do everything that they needed to do, separating my family because I'm a criminal now. So to take exception for somebody for a political reason, to me, it's just not American. So I'm MAGA all day.
All day, baby. I rock with you. Eddie Puyol, Trumper, baby, doing the thing. You hear me? I'm thankful, man, that we're able to witness making America great again, like for real. And I stand on business and saying I want to make America safe again too, especially for the babies, because a lot of corruption going along everywhere. Like there's tons of stuff going on. So I'm praying a big movement that would take place in our country, that God would heal our land and, allow the fruit of our labor to prosper, and allow us to really enjoy what he's given us here in our country, in our great, great country. So catch me on IG. I'm there, Marlon. I know you ain't, but I'm there. Eddie Puyol, the way I spell it on the screen. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, the whole nine. Do a lot of stuff on YouTube. Yeah, a lot of stuff on YouTube, popping videos left and right, man. Got some music videos there that you can enjoy. I do music. That is one thing. Noble knows me from that side of things.
Yeah.
He got
we
me
never had
involved
this
with the show
discussion before
because
either.
he got me involved with the show because I rocked with Trump back in the days. I did a TV show with him called The Ultimate Merger. And now I'm here talking about standing on business. You know what I mean? Make America great again. So holla.
Yes, indeed, man. Appreciate y'all fellas for stopping by, man, taking your time to share. I mean, that's invaluable, man. So thank you so much, fellas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Much love to y'all. I'm out of here. Oh, love y'all too, man. Hey, listen, next week, check it out, man. I'm gonna be talking with a Hebrew Israelite. It's gonna be a dope conversation. You definitely don't want to miss it. It might even surprise some of y'all. So
hey,
we out of here. Peace.